Richard Martinez here with the Rebuild You Show, where we are highlighting people who are serious about growing their lives, about all the most important areas of their lives, them winning and doing it with integrity. Today we have a powerful guest who has been through a lot of struggle in her upbringing. But this woman has overcame, and not only overcame, but is doing some amazing, beautiful things with and through her family. Building businesses, empowering her kids to do some very impactful things in their own industries with their own talents. You're going to love this story. Check out Maribel. All right, so can you first introduce yourself and who you are, what you do, and then we'll start getting into where you came from and what you're doing now.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Maribel Lopez. I'm a celebrity makeup artist and an actress. And yeah.
How long have you been doing that?
Makeup nonstop, 4 years.
4 years.
4 years.
And actress?
4 years. Actress on and off since 2000. I was 15, so I want to say 2002-ish.
Wow.
3-ish.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. So I know I shared a little bit off camera before of what this is about, but I just wanted to say it again to kind of set the tone of why I wanted you here, right? So there are certain people that I've been able to work with in different ways that I've seen values in them, that I've seen them pushing for more. Like they have a mind that wants bigger things. They don't want to just settle, but they have integrity. And there's a discipline. And then there's the family aspect to it where, there's like, man, the struggle, the balance and wanting to do good for your kids and, with your husband. I see that you have values there.
Yeah.
And you're also pushing in your businesses, not just one, but businesses. And that's hard, right? And there's a lot of the audience here that they're going through that.
Yeah.
And, you have successes in some areas and then you're struggling in areas and other ones. And that's what everybody has. But a lot of times people only share like their wins and like, this is what I'm doing now. And it's harder to relate with success than it is struggle. It's easy to relate with struggle.
Yeah.
So we're going to share, I want to ask you where you came from and to share how you got to where you're doing now and the struggle even along the way with how you've been winning. Because it's going to show them how to do the same.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So can you share, where were you born? Where are your parents from?
Yeah. So my dad was from Guadalajara, Jalisco. And my mom was from Tepic, Nayarit. But she was raised in a rancho, Guaristemba. I was born in Bellflower, but raised in the city of Linwood. So I was literally raised my whole life in the city of Linwood.
Okay.
Yeah. I grew up with humble beginnings, with parents who they came from Mexico, came to this country to give us a better life.
Sure.
Because they didn't have anybody to teach them the ways, they did the best they could to basically raise us. So I have my brother and myself, which we were both, raised together.
And you were born here?
I was born here.
Okay, and both of you guys, and you're the older one?
I'm the youngest from 6.
Youngest?
Yeah, youngest from 6, yeah.
And your older siblings, were they all born here as well? Or a couple of them born there?
So the first 3 oldest, and I'm going to share this, is from my mom's previous,
Got it.
And they all were born in Mexico.
Okay.
And myself and my brother and my sister, we were all born here.
Okay.
Yeah, from my dad.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And how was it growing up? Like in your home before school? Like just what was it like? Because you're the youngest.
Yeah.
So you're watching your older ones around. I don't know if they're around or how involved you are. How is that like?
Geez, growing up, I mean, my parents gave us everything growing up, but it was a lot of lonely days. Like we had to grow up basically.
Even with so many people around you?
Well, it was just my brother and myself because my sister left at the age of 14. So she took off. I was very small. I was 5 years old when she, when she left. She got married.
At 14?
At 14.
Okay.
At 14. And my older siblings were really not here. They were doing their own lives. So it was just myself and my brother. And yeah, there was times when my parents would work from 3, 4 a.m., wouldn't get home till like 5, 6. So our whole lives ended up with babysitters or me taking care of myself. Yeah.
All the way in like your childhood? So
all my childhood.
Were you
all my childhood.
Always outside with friends? Did you play sports?
I would say by the time my parents got home, they would take care of us. And yeah, we were definitely like in activities. Like my mom or my dad would place me in activities like that. I like to dance. My dad put me in acting classes. I like to do like a lot of sports, but it was like playing at home or things like that with my friends, things like that. Yeah.
Okay. So you're lonely at home because it was just you and your brother, right?
It was, yeah.
But you had friends that you're interacting with, you're outside being active. I'm trying to get an image were you more sheltered or were you more out there and experiencing?
So basically, when I say by myself, it's because, there's times where you have the summer vacations and you have to basically like feed yourself, do things for yourself.
Okay.
It was got it. And the times where I was with babysitters, there was a lot of bullying going on when it came to like, my babysitters and their children and stuff like that. So
they're bullying you?
Yeah.
For what or how?
Just I had no idea.
But what would they say or do?
They would get physical. Like I remember one time where, just because I didn't do what the girl told me to do, like she put Clorox on the floor and grabbed me by my hair and just like dragged me all over like her. Yeah.
With Clorox on the floor?
Yeah. So there was a lot of situations where I felt that, I alone, my brother was there, but it wasn't there to like help me, or like I would tell my mom, but she would tell me, don't tell your dad, I'll figure this out. So ended up us, my parents would leave super early to work in the morning. And then it ended us being by ourselves, like taking care of ourselves because the babysitters were like a no-go at that point. Yeah.
And so you would share and then nothing would happen, so it just kept happening to you, or?
I would share, and then my mom, the way she took care of it is like, listen, don't tell dad. I'll take care of it. It'll take her about 2 weeks to kind of find some other sitter, and she eventually would. But the sitters didn't feed us, or something happened to me, and after that, it was just like, okay, you guys are gonna have to just stay by yourselves. And it was at a very young age.
Just had a lot of bad experiences with sitters. What the heck?
A lot of bad experiences, which made me who I am and how I am with my kids. And now,
more protective. I'm sure of like, no, you can't go with them, or more watching people who are strangers or even people who are not, because
Yeah, it was difficult. So I, at like a young age, I had to learn how to defend myself. I had to learn how to speak for myself. I had to learn how to be strong. I had to learn how to be independent in a sense, So, and with that, all those emotions, I wanted to turn them into something good. I wanted to express myself through those emotions. So I started focusing.
At what age?
5, 6 years old.
Already you were thinking that way?
Yeah.
Where'd that come from?
Yeah. I wish I could tell you, but it's something inside of me that I said, I want to do this when I grew up. I already knew that I wanted to do something with acting and, dancing and all that stuff at a very young age. I already knew and that never changed.
Did you see like a movie or something, or like somebody that you saw, you're like, I want to do that, or where'd that come from?
I would see a lot of movies. My dad would always have us watch movies and stuff like that. And then one of my idols was like Selena Quintanilla.
Okay.
So then, seeing the movie, seeing everything, it just made me want to do that and more. That's where my kind of like the seed started growing.
Wow.
And I would role play at my house. I would play.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I would role play. I would have my siblings or friends or cousins. Hey, let's play like we were part of a novela. And we would do it. I could cry and we would play along, doing those things. And so we did a lot of.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Now, how was it in your home growing up with your parents? Because they were there as well.
Yeah.
So what was your interaction with them like?
So my dad was super supportive. He was super like, hey, man, you can do whatever you want. My mom was not. My mom was like, no, you have to put your feet on the ground and you have to get a 9 to 5 because you're not going to make it. That just doesn't happen. You're not going to make it. We don't have the money for that. You're wasting your time. You need something reliable, and my dad was like, no,
taking you to dance classes.
Yep. Yeah. We flew together. We were part of a reality show together, and I was supposed to be like one of like the main people, and my dad ended up outshining me. That's how good he was.
Oh my goodness.
He started being like the victim on the show.
That's funny.
And, it was such a beautiful memory with my dad that, I'm always going to keep in my heart, him being supportive and
really cool.
Yeah.
He was all in.
Yeah, all in.
Now, was there any kind of core values that you feel that were very important that, that you learned from growing up in your home with them?
Yeah, God first. God first. Even though it was a twisted, crazy family where my dad never went to church, he would always, do the persinar,
really?
The whole, yeah. And then my mom would try to take us to church every Sunday. And she tried the best she could, to teach us, show us, read the Bible. We visit like different churches, trying to find God, try to find the truth. I had different types of experiences, a lot of things that I couldn't understand.
Like what?
Paranormal things, which was one of the reasons.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Let's hear about this.
Yeah.
This is fun. What do you mean, like what?
Yeah. So growing up, and the reasons why I really wanted to, and I don't know what you're going to think about this, but at the age of 9, I had a dream. And before I had that dream, I had asked my mom, what happens to us after we die? That was my concern. And she's like, well, mija, no, we don't know that. Only God knows. And I was like, I think he wants us to know, though, at that age. And she was like, well, we're never going to know. And I was like, oh, okay, and I wasn't okay with that answer. I was not. So I guess the memory that I have is I had a dream, and the dream was, right, Jesus, and he had like little shepherds, and he said, you're going to know the truth. So don't worry. I'm going to guide you, and you're going to know the truth. And everything's going to be okay.
And you heard this audibly, or what do you mean?
No, this was through my dream. It was a dream.
You just knew that's what he was telling you?
Yeah, it was my dream. Just like I was asleep and I dreamt that. And I woke up and I told my mom about my dream, and she's like, oh, qué bonito, My mom was just like, but I was more like, no, this means something. Like at a very young age, I felt like I was born to do something special, to do something good, to inspire, to learn the truth, to, have knowledge, to, tell a story, to make people feel good. So that's something that I had at a very small age, So growing up, even though I'm telling you, like my family was chaotic, my mom had like all these things going on in my house.
What was chaotic about it though?
So what I mean,
we all have our stuff. Right, but what was chaotic about yours?
I felt like there was a lot of fighting, in my house with my mom and my dad. Even though they did love each other very much, there was a lot of like disagreements.
Verbal fighting.
When my dad has strong values about, hey, you have to put like your family first, and my mom was like, yeah, but my family comes first. Like her second, her not her immediate family, but like the
cousin
that came first. So my values come from my dad, where he was like, no, it's family first, the wife, the kids, God, like things like that. So I would notice those things, and I was like, yeah, interesting, and I grasped what I knew that was going to be good for me and brought those values with me as I was growing up. So it was just little things that I felt like there was a lot of chaos, but at the end I found my balance, and I felt like, okay, I could take this from my mom. I could take this from my dad. Yeah.
How was it for you in school?
Bullying. It was not good. I did not like school at all.
And that started right since the beginning, like when you're in elementary, or when?
First grade, like first, second grade.
Wow.
Yeah. It was, my type of bullying was like the type of bullying that you see like from movies. If you like, I would sit like in my desk, and then the kids will like circle me around and like point at my nose, my face features.
Really?
Yeah. So I started growing up with low self-esteem. very, very low self-esteem. So I did not like going to school at all. I would make up any excuse for me not to go to school. I had to go, but I would make up any excuse just not to go.
Wow. Yeah. And what are some other things that they would do?
Thankfully, it never got physical. It almost got physical in middle school. But I started being more like, I took self-defense classes. I took kickboxing.
Okay.
You know.
So you got more confidence.
I got more confident.
Speaking up for yourself.
They got the little thug out of me.
Take my earrings off, put my hair back.
So I remember this girl started to kind of getting along with me in the way where she started name calling. And I didn't like that. So I asked her, like, stop. You know, don't say that to me, right? She kept name calling me again. So I directed the same word back at her. And I remember that a bunch of 8th graders, because I was in the 7th grade.
They all said, fight.
Yeah. They were like, hey, fight her, go fight her.
It's like the movies, it is.
Yeah. They're like, fight her in the lockers. And I was like, okay. In my mind already, I was like, if I'm going to get jumped, I'm not going to get jumped in the lockers. I was like, I'm going to go outside and I have to be brave, even though I'm afraid, right? I'm going to wait for her right outside. So with everything in me, I was, scared and everything, Richard, but I was like, okay, I'm going to wait for this girl outside. Like, let's see what's up, what's going on. So I waited for her. And then she's like, hey, I don't appreciate you calling me that word. Next time you call me that word, I'm going to, mess you up, whatever. I was like, well, why don't you do it right here, right now? And I don't know why I said that. It probably was pretty dumb of me to say, because there was a lot of girls. But the girl, she tried to like take a swing at me. So I took my, my boxing class, like kind of just brought pass. Like, and after that, she never bothered me again. We became friends. She apologized. We both got suspended. I told my dad. But things were different. Did your dad get mad
or was he like, no. Good job?
Yeah, he was like, good job. He's like, what happened? I was like, well, this.
And you're like, oh, okay.
He's like, okay, good. And then my mom was like, but, my dad calmed her down and everything was okay. But things started changing for me little by little once I started to say, like, hey, nobody's going to defend you, man. Like, you have to, like, defend yourself.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a big lesson right there. Because I think a lot of people need to hear that of, like, something's, you can't just wait for somebody else to defend you. You have to take responsibility for your life, not become a victim and say, if I don't like it, I'm going to change it.
Yeah.
I want to say something. I'm going to speak out. And could I get into a fight? Maybe.
Yeah.
But I need to be able to stand for something, right? Because I'm worth it.
Yeah.
It's really good. Yeah. Now getting into high school, what was high school like?
High school for me it was fun. I did like high school.
Why?
Because after that, I felt like awesome. I felt like nobody can do that.
Oh, okay. Now you had this confidence.
Yeah, I had this confidence. And then I started with confidence, I started getting myself more ready. I started, looking different in high school. And I made a lot of friends, I had different friends. So
Were you like more like the social butterfly type where everybody's your friend, you're going out, you're talking to everybody, all the groups?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Were you like a cheerleader too, or?
Almost, okay. But it was really, really fun. I was in like dancing classes and stuff like that. We became part of a newspaper for the city of Linwood because we did like a pageant for the city. So I was Miss Cuba.
Really?
I threw myself out there, even though I wasn't from Cuba, but I had to pretend I was from Cuba.
Nice.
So that was fun learning about, different cultures and things like that. I made friends there too. Then my journey with high school got cut short because I dated somebody when I was very young. This person was like older than me. And then that's when I had my first.
How old were you?
I was 17. So I finished high school. I did graduate.
So right when you graduated, you got pregnant?
Right when I graduated, I was 6 months.
Okay, you were already 6 months.
But funny story, in the future, my actual husband that is right now, he was next to me when I graduated high school with my first daughter.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. See? And in the pictures that I took, he's in the background. Like my husband, my current husband now.
Did you know him then?
We knew each other in middle school, but we didn't like hang out we just knew each other in middle school. Like, but like, vaguely.
That's
hey,
crazy.
what's up? But not, yeah. So
not, hey, what's up?
Not, hey, what's up?
It's just, hey, what's up?
Yeah, hey, what's up? So
no way.
Yeah. So
what was that like? You're right out of high school, or in high school you get pregnant. What was that like for you first? Like, and then sharing with your family and what that process was.
It was tough. It was tough because I was like, do I want to quit my dreams? No. Do I want to stop acting? No. And
because that's the first thing you're thinking, like everything's done. My life is over, or
yeah.
I can't do any of that now.
Yeah. So at the time, my sister, she was studying the Bible. No, she was already baptized. She's like, hey, you need to study the Bible so your marriage can work. So I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, because the guy that I was with was kind of like this cholo type of guy, and I thought that I could maybe help him change.
Okay.
I think it's common, a lot of people think
they like the bad boy, and then they're like, I'll change him. Once he loves me, then he'll want to change everything for me.
I was wrong. And after when I started, taking Bible study, they suggested you guys need to get married, do things right by God. And, because if you're not married, you can't live together. And I was just like, oh, my gee. I was like, okay. So we got married. Like,
what were your parents saying during all this time? Like,
my dad was opposed. My dad nearly almost like shot the guy.
What were they first? What was their reaction when you said, hey, I'm pregnant?
I eloped before I could even tell them I was pregnant. Okay. Then I got pregnant. Then I told them. Then I came back home. Okay. And my dad was like, okay, he bought us a trailer in Arizona. And I regretted it instantly. Like, it was based on a lot of like abuse, and the family where he was around, it was a lot of abuse going on. And I was not used to that. I was brought up by like at least a decent family, and they were like into like drugs and all this stuff.
So you're like, what is this world here?
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I have to go home. I can't stay here. And I was already pregnant with my oldest, Cassidy. And I had mentioned, you know what? I'm going home. And like, no, don't leave. I'm going home. Like, I'm gone. And he followed me to California, back home. And I was like, well, so my mom was is the type of person, like, what are people going to say? And you need to stay with this guy. You can't just get pregnant and just like, so I decided to continue. We decided to continue with the relationship. And that's when we got married and stuff like that. And, my dad had to sign, like we had to get married in Vegas. So he had to sign
because you're still 17?
I was still 17. Yeah. And then he signed, and I finished high school. It was just this whole crazy thing, and
so young, so much happening.
So yeah. And I mean, my dad tried to warn me, he's like, hey, he's cheating, he's a cheater, he's this, he's that. And I was like, Dad, like, and I didn't listen, and I didn't listen to I didn't see like the little red flags. I was trying my best to be like, I can help him. That's what God wants me to do. He wants me to help him. And I tried. But when somebody doesn't want to help themselves, you can't.
God can't even help you.
Yeah. There's a difference. There's a difference. And after that, and that's what made me a little bit of who I am a little bit today too, because thanks to the cheating and all that stuff, I decided to start building myself. And like, because my confidence was really low.
So it was down, and then you got in a fight, and then it went up, and then you're like, ooh, I'm like, and then I got this, and then now this happens,
and then down
it
again.
Goes down again, and now you start to build it up again.
Yeah, and it was it started by me, paying for makeovers. Hey girl, like, it was at the Plaza Mexico. They used to have like this little stand, and, people used to like do makeup for $25 back then.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And you would go and like, okay.
Every weekend I was like, here you go, like, made me look nice. So my friend was like, hey, listen, I'm going to teach. Why don't you just learn how to do this yourself?
And were you working anytime before this yet? Or were you you were pregnant and.
Yeah. So after I because they had offered me a scholarship to do my acting, and he's like, no. don't do it. And I was like, he's like, no, we're studying the Bible. You can't do it. I don't want you to do it. And I was like, okay. So again, I was like, I'm not going to do it. I stopped. So I went for a career that would allow me to work from home. And I did medical billing for quite some time. And after that, it kind of didn't work out because of all the problems that were going on with the babysitters now with my oldest. So I had my own personal experience with the babysitters, and my oldest, I was like, yeah, no, I can't.
I have to figure it out.
I have to figure something out. So when this opportunity came with, she was like, hey, listen, I'm going to start teaching makeup. You should start, learning and, do it yourself. That's when I started to be like, hey, I'm in. Like, I want to do this.
Yeah, this makes sense. I like it. It makes me feel good because you were going and doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
So it was like a therapy for you almost. And
yeah,
build up your confidence. You're like, oh, I did it for me. I can do it for others.
Yeah.
And, my daughter, I can do this remotely or on my own time.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go.
Yeah. And I saw that effect that it did on people. I mean, it had an effect on me. It made me feel different. I was like, I look different. I feel different. I was like, I can do this for someone else. But again, when you try to try to stop me, like, no, don't do that. Or why are you doing it? So it was a crazy roller coaster for me, trying to, achieve my goals, and then having somebody that was trying to anchor you and then, I was trying to be spiritual, and then,
wow.
everything, all I want. So everything.
New mother.
Yeah, everything. So, but regardless of all that, I do feel happy and proud of myself that because there was a time where he was like, hey, it's going to be me or your career. And I said, my career.
How old are you at this time?
I was 24.
24 now. 24. 17. You're married that long.
Yeah. I was like 20. I choose my career. I was like, I think I gave up so much for so many years for you. And I feel like it's time for me to go after what I want. Because
10 years.
It's never going to change. I was like, it's never going to change. I'm always going to be this person. I'm never going to change. And I'm sorry, but if you don't want to change, I cannot help you. And this is too much, right? So as soon as the things got worse, then things got physical, on his end.
Okay.
So then that's when I finally decided, I had a conversation with my oldest. She was 8 at the time. And I had to talk to her and explain to her, this is not okay. And she finally understood, because there was things that she couldn't understand when she was younger. She would cry.
And what would he get physical for? What would trigger him, or what would happen that he would lose it and get physical now?
He had a drug addiction.
Okay.
I didn't know this until later down the marriage, because he would leave for several days and not come back. So.
And what would he say when he would come back? What would he tell you?
That he didn't remember anything. I don't know what happened. I don't remember anything. But then I started smelling him, and I started this is not a normal smell. And there was one time where I was pregnant with my second, and
you didn't grow up in any of that, so you wouldn't really know. So
I was just like, what's going on, And I remember my brother wanted to celebrate, so he brought tequila bottle. I had just made ice cream cake, and he offered him a drink, and I was like, I don't think he could drink because he gets kind of upset when he drinks, so don't give him anything to drink. So he was like, it's just one, whatever. So he drank a lot, and that's when I noticed that he was looking for drugs. I was scared, because he started smoking, and then he went across the street, and he was looking for drugs, and he asked for rides.
Oh, actually going on the streets looking for it?
Yeah. And I mean, where we lived, they were not far away, I guess, from the area, Compton and all those areas. Yeah. So that's when I realized, oh my gosh, this is serious. This is not, and I was already with my second. And a lot of the times.
So that was a big wake up for you right there. Of this is more than I thought it was.
Yeah. And I was I'm in too deep. What am I supposed to do now? Right. At the time.
Yeah, 10 years deep.
Yeah. And I was just what am I going to do? It was No, because I had Cassidy at 2005, and then my second was 2008. So then that's after the whole, when I was 24, that was a little bit after. I had forgave him for that, and then that was a little bit after when I said, hey, I choose my career over you. Like, and yeah, so I feel like a lot of the times when we don't get the right guidance, because I had people who told me like I had to stay. You need to stay. You know, in marriage, you have to stay.
And these are people that you love, that you trust, you respect, and they love you. So you're like, why are they going to tell me that something that's going to be bad for me? Okay, then I guess I got to. And you stood there.
I stood there.
And I think this is very common for a lot of people. And you know, like, what am I going to do? Or now everyone's going to reject all these different, like, what are the thoughts that went through your mind of like, why you stood longer? What did you think would happen? They would just disown you or what?
No, I didn't want to fail. I still was in hope that even though I was not in love with this person, because you can't love somebody like that, you learn that that's not love. I wanted to provide a good, healthy environment for my daughters, like with a good upbringing, you know, spirit.
And you were hoping that he would change and that you could provide that.
Yes.
So that's what kept you waiting. But meanwhile,
it was
you're
getting
into exactly what you don't want for them.
And something common that happens is, I'm sorry, they change for like a little bit, and then you stay, and then it happens again. I'm sorry, it happens again for a little bit. So that was a pattern that I was like, listen, like, if you change, good for you, but this is not for me anymore. This is something that I do not want to teach this to my daughters, that this is okay. So it's when I decided to like end everything. And I wasn't part of the church anymore where I was at.
So you just disconnected.
I disconnected. And
but you have the kids.
Yeah.
So what was that like?
Yeah. I felt relieved. A lot of people say when it comes to divorce, they cry, they take their time. And no, I felt like alive. I felt like I was ready to live my life. Mm-hmm. I don't think I even shredded one tear, to be honest. I felt free. I felt free. And I didn't care what people thought, what they would say. If I failed.
You got to a point where you just couldn't anymore. So you just, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. I decided, you know what? My priority are going to be my kids. Spirituality definitely is going to be part of my life too. So I'm going to get back to it. And then I wanted to continue with my career. I wanted to keep doing, makeup and acting, and I wanted to inspire, motivate. I wanted to tell my story. I wanted to become more. So,
but now you're not together. How did you guys do the co-parenting with kids?
So I tried. When I served him, when I did the whole petition, I tried for joint custody, but he did not want that. What he wanted was just free time to himself, and whenever he would want them, it would be like on his terms. So when I petitioned,
so not 50-50 custody, but hey, whenever I want.
Yeah. So when I went to court and he didn't show up, the judge granted me sole custody because he's like, has he tried? I'm like, no, like I'm trying to, but even though he was not good to me, I don't think he's a danger to my kids. But she's like, no, he cannot. So she gave me sole custody of them. And even then, he even had mentioned, because we had a conversation before everything years back, he said, you're never going to leave me. And if you ever leave me, he said, I'm never going to give you 1 cent for the girls. And I said, okay, well, I don't need the money. Like, I don't, just as long as
That's why he avoided all the courts and everything then.
Yeah. He left. He left, and he became he still did the same things he did, drugs, in and out of jail.
Right back into it.
Yeah, in and out of jail.
Too bad.
Yeah.
So now you're free, right? And now you're focused on what now? Because now you're building yourself. You have your kids. You have 2 kids now, and they're how old?
So thankfully, I got remarried with my husband that I have now, and our family grew. So
how long in between?
So we have the 2 oldest, which, from me, and then he has a daughter, my stepdaughter, Emily. And then our 2 other daughters, which we had together as well. So it's 5 girls.
Okay.
Yeah, and the baby's 3, and then the other one's 6.
So, but now you're going to school, you're developing, or like, is this where you're starting your business? What's happening during this time of, okay, now you're away from him.
Yes.
You're free with your kids.
Yes.
And even before you meet your current husband, like there was things that happened, right? Like
yeah.
What happened there?
So I continued with my acting, but I wasn't doing makeup. So I was doing a lot of background work. I was submitting myself to projects. I was doing Uber Eats, trying to provide for my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I even got help from the government to, get myself started and going. Then after, when I reconnected with my husband, he encouraged me to stop working. Even though I didn't listen, I still worked because I felt like...
How did you reconnect with him though? So, like that transition there is like real. Yeah. You go from not being with your ex-husband, you're divorced now, you serve him, he goes back into his stuff, you're pouring into yourself, you have 2 kids. What's happening here? Are you working? Are you doing your makeup stuff? Are you going to school? And then how did you meet your current husband? Like, what's that transition right there?
So right there, we met through, we connected through Facebook. At the time, I was still working, doing Uber.
Okay.
And I was doing my acting.
Okay. You're focused on doing that, doing the background work.
Yeah.
And now you are on Facebook?
Yeah, now I'm on Facebook, and I'm reconnecting with everybody that I stopped talking to.
Okay.
And
makes sense.
It started with a post. I was like, who is this smart man? Like, he is smart.
And what made him look smart or seem smart? What was he posting?
It was just posts about, the universe and like, how things don't happen just because. And it was just like things that people won't post normally. Like, it was just like, he's very smart. My husband's very intelligent. So that attracted me. But I didn't say anything. I just liked the post. And he sent me a friend request.
You're just thinking, who's this intelligent man?
Yes. I was like,
who else? What else is he posting?
Yeah, know? And he requested me. And then I noticed he started like just liking my posts. I'm like, okay. And we ended up meeting for my friend's birthday. We ended up being friends. We just would chat here and there. Hey, how are you? Things like that.
Is a mutual friend, or did you invite him?
Mutual friend.
Okay.
Mutual friend, and she invited us for like her birthday. And then I was like, hey, I don't want to go by myself. Like, do you want to come with? And he's like, yeah.
There you go, making your move.
Making the move. And I remember the funny story is that once I came out, because at the time I was living with my mom, she was helping me through the whole process and things like that while I was trying to get my own place. I remember coming out of my mom's house, and he was pulling this way, and there was a car, and then the guys that were in the car were like checking me out, and they crashed.
Oh.
So my husband got to see that. So he was like, okay,
all right.
All right.
Making people break their necks.
And then once we got to the place, the same thing happened to him. Like, he got out of the car, and then some girls were like, ciao, like, cutie. And I was like, okay, like the same things are happening like to him. So I was in my head like, we're just friends. Nothing, we're just friends. We're just friends. Remember, we're just friends. You're not looking for a relationship.
Why were you, because you were like afraid, like you were hurt, or why were you like trying to convince yourself out of it?
I think just because I don't know. I just said like, no, don't date anybody. Just focus. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with like what could go wrong, right? So then, as soon as I got into his car, I was like, wow, like he could be my husband. I don't know if that's ever happened to anybody, but in my mind, I was like, oh my goodness.
It was like, no. Then once I got in his car, what kind of car was it?
It was it was Mazda, but and
like, was it clean or like, come on, you're like, wow, this could be my husband.
He looked sharp. He looked really sharp.
Okay.
He looked confident, sharp. He was very respectful. And once we got to, the restaurant, we just like eye contact. And from there, it was like 2 weeks. He's like, I'm in love with you. And I was like, wow, I'm in love with you too. It just, we felt in love. We already knew what we wanted. We already had connected.
There was no playing games. It was like, I want you, you want me. Let's just do this and build something serious.
Yeah, yeah. And what I like, what he likes, and we talked about spiritual things. We talked about our goals. We talked about, our ambitions.
This was like before you said, hey, I love you. Like you got to know each other, like your values and what you believe.
Yeah.
So this is a huge, I think, a big takeaway right here, because a lot of times people don't do this. They get into dating. They're just because it feels good, or I can change this once you love me enough. But we don't do this work where we sit down and ask, like, okay, what do you believe? Like what are your core values? What's important to you? Where do you want to go? Because you've learned the hard way, but I think this is something that we should all learn from. Yeah. So you did this, and what happened? Yeah.
So then we talked about our kids. We discussed our kids. Families was second. We didn't care what our families thought. We're like, I'm not trying to say family is not important. It is important. But what mattered was us and the family we were trying to build. And then we just went from there. And after that, it was just like, okay, like, I want to be with you. You want to be with me. Like, I want you to be my wife. And let's get married. And
you have kids? He doesn't at this point?
We both had kids. I had my two oldest.
So now and he has two?
And he had one.
Okay.
He has one. And then we had two more.
That's what it was. Two more. Okay. So 5 total now.
Yeah. Yeah. And we did have I did have a miscarriage after. So we had,
a sixth.
But, so we, immediately, like, it felt fast, but it felt like, where you been all my life?
Yeah, sure. It's beautiful. So now you both are like, okay, I'm in love. We're in love. Let's get married.
Yeah.
Did you do it pretty quick?
We did it in about a year. We wanted to get situated. We had to get a place. We had to get, established.
And what is he doing? You're still doing the same thing with doing the Uber, or you're doing the acting, some makeup at this point?
I started exploring makeup again. I started, I have to do this. I have to do my makeup. I have to do my acting, and I have to do,
And what was he doing at this point?
He was working for an insurance company.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he was doing that, and I was doing those things. I always been like, I can't just do one thing. I like, let's do everything. And then we found a place, and then that's when we got married. And
okay.
And we try to, the girls, just
everybody merged the family together.
Everybody just merged the family, but we would have dates in between. Like,
how was the kids in integrating?
Thankfully, very good. Thankfully, very good. The girls were happy. I remember when we used to pick up, like, Emily, she wouldn't want to leave. She wouldn't want me to leave. She calls me mom, right? I'm her mom. She's my daughter. And it was a very nice interaction with, like, it's just like,
it's meant to be.
Yeah, like, just blend it, like,
made it easy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The challenge with the family. That was a challenge.
But that's where you both were in agreement already that you know what, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
We're doing this.
Yeah.
And how is the family still a challenge, or they got over it?
Part of his family is good, but his mom isn't, and she probably may never will be.
But you guys are.
But we're already in agreement that our marriage comes first. And our family comes first, and we go based on our values, our principles, and what we want. And there's non-negotiables. And
if you want to be a part of that and accept us that way, then great.
Then great.
If not, then it's on them.
Then it's on you. And we still love you, we still forgive you, but we need to keep focused.
Yeah.
So I think with us, that's really important. Like, we really, really want to be successful and inspire, and, like, just focus on we have a lot of work to do because we have girls, we have daughters. So aside from just mine, he has his goals, his dreams, and then our daughters have their goals and their dreams. So we have a lot of work to do. But regardless of all these trials and tribulations, it's like, don't give up. Like, no matter what, don't give up. Like,
so now you guys are married, blended family, everybody's going together. And when do you start to think, like, okay, I'm gonna start doing business? When does that starting to come up? Still not yet? It's still time goes by, or is it around this time?
No, yeah. Yeah, it started.
Because you said you started to kind of look into it, but are you actually like charging people for something?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So thankfully, with networking and going to events like the ones like you guys have too, like that has helped us out tremendously.
How?
So in ways how to speak to people, in ways how to there was an event that Adriana had about lose the fear. When I go with your coachings, like about relationships, I learned to understand people. I do, we do charge. We've been working with celebrities, thank God.
How did you get into that though? Because you were like interested, because I want to get the transition of how you got there. Like how you started, how did you create your first product or package of service, and how did you start getting attention to it? Like, tell me the process of you now servicing, your first client, so that way people can understand what that was like to just start and starting to get traction.
So I had to re-study everything about makeup, and I kept going with the best, and started learning different techniques on how to do certain things with my acting as well. So I implement acting and makeup so I can get those personality traits.
So self-development. And learning from the best things, getting the best. So you're just developing self.
Yes. And content, trends, and just consistency. And then networking is one of the main things, and just going for it, because a lot of people go with other people to help them get to people, but I go straight for them. I'm like, hey, listen, my name's Maribel Lopez. I'd love to, offer you the service. This is what I provide. La, la, la. What do you think? La, la, la. And just magic happens, sometimes.
So why don't you do what everybody else does there and just goes to like around and you go straight to them? What made you do that?
Because I could do that myself. And so can other people. And I feel like a lot of people are afraid to go for what they want. And I'm like, Richard, no, like, it's time. I think I waited for a long time.
Okay.
That I'm at a point in my life where I'm like,
waiting.
No more waiting. I have to go get what I want. I know what I want, and I'm going to go get it. Yeah.
So now you're...
Without losing, of course, our values.
Your values and your balance, yeah.
Because or else you'll get there faster.
Yep.
Some people get there faster.
It's true.
A lot of people think do that.
But your core values are... and your agreements with your husband is like, that's okay. We're going to go slower, but we're going to, keep spending this time with our family and doing these things. Like, that's okay that it's taking longer. We're going.
Yeah.
Right. But we're not willing to sacrifice this for that.
Yeah.
That's good. Like, especially because you're in agreement.
Yes.
A lot of times there's not an agreement with that. And there's one person that wants that. The other one's, pushing, or the other one doesn't want enough. There's a challenge.
It takes work. It takes communication. Like, it doesn't just happen, because my husband and I have different personalities, right? But we learn how to work with that, and we communicate, and then we decide like, oh, it's because you're this way. Oh, it's because you're this way. It's kind of like what we learned also, like in your, in your classes too. Like, so we communicate a lot, and so
about everything, conflict,
everything. We're very
if
open.
You don't like something, you don't like something, you say it.
Oh yeah.
Or how do you do it? Do you do it right there on the spot?
Right there on the spot.
Okay.
It has to be right there on the spot, because if you leave it for later, it's gonna be like in the back of your mind. So it's like, if there was a situation, he's like, I'll be right back. No, like, let's deal with this now, because it's important now, and we have to be like, let's talk about this, right? So we talked about it, and it was a little like, oh, okay, let's calm down, okay. But we were able to be in agreement, and we were able to understand each other.
To work through it, even though it gets you disagree, and maybe even push little buttons, and give a little attitude,
little sassy in there,
maybe a little name calling, and like, remember this, and but you guys are able to communicate through it and then have some kind of agreement at the end.
Yeah. Above all, I feel like we already know that we're not going anywhere.
Because again, it's the core values that are locking you guys in, keeping an anchor.
Yeah.
Of even when you have these disagreements, you guys both know your mind is not going to be like, well, like, is he just tired of me, or do I want to be here anymore? Like, that's not even a thought. It's more like, well, we're going to work through it. So I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Deal with me.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. And in the beginning, it was a little bit tough because, I mean, I did get through my, after my dad passed away, you know, like I did get like this PTSD anxiety where I was even questioning my whole life. Like I was questioning.
How old were you when that happened? We didn't hear that.
Yeah. So 2014 is when my dad passed away. I think I was 20.
How did he pass?
Just in his sleep. For him, it was wrongful death. Like, it was negligence from the hospital. So they said everything was like okay. And
but why was he in the hospital to begin with?
I took him because I remember I was, you know, doing like a barbecue at my house, and I called him, and when he answered, he was gasping like for air. He couldn't speak, and I just rushed to his house, and he said he had like a huge headache, so he was lacking oxygen.
Was that something normal for him, or what?
No, I think he had sleep apnea, because when we took him to the hospital, they said his oxygen levels were dropping when he would fall asleep.
Yeah.
So I didn't want them to let him go, but because he didn't have insurance with that hospital, he had it with a different insurance.
They didn't give him the service that he deserved.
So they told me, no, he's going to be fine. It's not life-threatening, so he could go home. So my dad, you know, I saw him good. I saw him happy, laughing. So he said, it's okay, let's just go home. So because my mom was going to be with him and she was going to leave until like 4 a.m.
So you're like, oh, it's okay.
I felt it was okay. But in the morning, Richard, when I woke up, I felt like this pressure in my heart. Yeah. I felt like this pain, weird pain. So I called my brother, hey, wake up my dad. I have to take him to the doctor. He needs a machine to breathe, dude, because he's not looking. I didn't like what happened last night. He's like, oh yeah, I tried waking him up, but like he said he wanted to go back to sleep. And I said, no, you have to wake him up now because we have to go get this machine for him. Like we have to go to his doctor and tell him what happened.
Wow.
And when he went back,
already right there.
It was too late. It was too late. So it was the worst day of my life. Yeah.
Poor guy. Huh?
That was the worst. My dad was young. He was 62. I feel like that's still young.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like that's young still. And my whole life.
He was like a big source of strength for you.
Yeah.
Of love, of support.
Everything.
Of encouragement.
Everything. And I felt like 6 months after that, I felt like I was completely going insane. Like I didn't know what was going on. I started having panic attacks, thoughts. They had me on medication. I said, screw this, I'm not taking medication. Like I started to...
This is before you're married with your current husband?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because my husband at the time was like, if you keep crying, I'm leaving you. And I was like, oh God, for the love of God, just leave.
Oh,
like,
wow.
like just, there's nothing else that could possibly hurt me.
Yeah, I don't even care.
I don't even care, dude. Like, please do us a favor. Like, just because I was in so much pain that nothing else mattered. Like, I was like, this would be great if you leave, actually. Because the day of the funeral, he was like, I'm taking off, you know, like you're crying, you're going to scare the kids. And I was like, oh my goodness, like for the love of God. Like,
yeah, my dad died.
Yeah, like my dad just died, you know. And yeah, so when that happened, it was easy to like let him go. So it was around the same time that I let him go too. And I was like, that's it. Like, I'm done. Like,
How did you process that with your dad? And your mom and your siblings? I
think for myself, I couldn't see pictures of my dad for a good 3 months.
You would just start weeping?
No, I just avoided him. I avoided him.
But what would happen if you did?
I wanted to forget about my dad, which was weird. I think it was too painful to even.
It's defense mechanism. It hurts too much.
Yeah. I feel like and it's because I had videos of him promising me, hey, you know, I'm gonna get in shape, mija, you know, because I took him because he had gout to the clinic, and I'm gonna take care of myself, mija, you know, I'm gonna do good. And I was like, promise me, it's on recording.
Yeah.
You know, so we'll do stuff like that. And again, that was like destroyed by, you know, that person, my ex. And, so he would do little things. Like we would have such a close relationship. So like when that happened, I was like, what happened? Like he didn't take care of himself. Like, and then I felt guilty at some point. I know my brother felt guilty because he was the one that had to wake him up or try to wake him up. So there was a lot of tension within the family. My mom, she was in her own pain.
Sure.
We all had our own.
It's like a big bomb blew up in your home. It's like, it's like, you can't function. It's like, what's going on? My whole world turned upside down.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And I mean, then I got like anxiety and panic attacks. So I didn't know what that was. I didn't know that,
like uncontrollable, where you're like panic, like breathing and
I didn't want to
hyperventilating.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna die. I was like, I'm not going to sleep. I'm gonna die like my dad. Like that was my experience. And like I started being afraid, and I started I got therapy. I remember getting therapy, getting medication, but I decided like, hey, no medication, nothing is gonna bring my dad back. I have to face this. I have to face this. I have to face this in a positive way. I was like, get your up, Maribel. Yeah. And like, okay, we're going to work out. We're going to read the Bible.
Ooh, so you had to get aggressive on yourself and like, okay, no more victim. Yes, it hurts, but okay.
I was like, we have to read the Bible. We have to work out. We have to get back to our careers. We have to help, the babies because they need you. I was with them. We used to do a lot of activities. I used to take them out a lot. And then I got them into acting and stuff like that. So I can get them like into positive, coping, something that's going to help them too. And then like a year later, I reconnected with my husband. And then 2 years into our marriage, I got another anxiety relapse.
Where'd this come from?
I don't know. I felt, what I had noticed that what triggered my anxiety relapses was the fear of something bad happening to me. So I remember my blood pressure was super low, and I was like working 12 hours every day. I would wake up at 3 a.m. doing Uber, and then stopping, working out, getting ready again, and then I would work a lot, and I started getting like dizzy, and it was.
It was like fatigue, burnout,
everything.
Losing hope, and your body just started to not be able to handle it.
Yeah. And that, I guess, triggered my anxiety where it's like, something's wrong, something. And ever since, we're trying to get, regulate my body again. But like, I was like, hey, I know how to do this. It's not my first time.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the same thing, keeping positive, like reading,
getting aggressive again. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, we have to.
So you have a pattern of like, and I think this is life, right? Where we go down, we're having a hard time with something. Life, has its way of punching us in the face. We have all these things, and we're like, okay, I need to snap out of it. Whatever the reason or purpose is, we start to find a reason where we start to fight. Right? And get assertive. Like, okay, that's it. I gotta make change now. Mm-hmm. So this keeps happening here at this point. So now transition into, okay, you're healing there. You're married. You're co-blended. Now, in the last, let's say 3 years, what have you been doing? How have you been building? What's been going on now?
A lot. It has been discipline and consistency in the things that, I had to learn how to get myself like consistent, because there was an inconsistency going on that wasn't allowing me to focus.
Inconsistent in just where you're putting your focus, or where you're putting your attention and time, or inconsistent in what?
Yeah. Getting organized, with my schedule,
okay.
With prioritizing. I like prioritizing, having like eating my like different eating habits, because that's important too. You have to have a good diet.
Yeah.
So just being having myself be accountable for the things I need to do so that it can get better, because you can't just say like, oh, I just want things to get better. Like, you have to make changes.
Oh, I hope one day. No, you have to freaking put in the work, roll up your sleeves, and let's go.
You have to put in the work, and you literally, you have to. If you have to wake up earlier, you have to wake up earlier. If I had to wake up earlier to do my workout so I can make breakfast for my kids and then get to work, that's what I have to do. If I have to, switch, make some, not sacrifices, but make decisions. I don't want to call them sacrifices. You make decisions, like if you're not going to go out to have dinner. Like, hey, put this money like in something that's gonna make you money, you
Okay.
know, and then you get to enjoy. Like, so just changing my mindset for sure.
It's powerful now. And so in the last 3 years, you've been changing your mindset there.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're doing the makeup more. So that's what we're talking about. Okay. How did you start to market it? How did you start to get your first clients? What did you start to sell? And how has that been going?
So what started selling for us more is like a lot of us girls, we like to feel like celebrities. You know, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the girls, you know, within my community out there, you want to feel and look like a celebrity.
Okay.
So what we do with us is we have like the celebrity glam, the celebrity look.
So the J-Lo look.
Or the J-Lo look, the Kim Kardashian look.
And then you have their styles and then you put
and then we provide those services, you know, to people. Something that we do offer is we do it within the comfort of your own home too. You know, or we do it for many, like I do also, because I'm in the acting industry, I also get actors so we can do like their headshots, photo ready makeup, things like that. A good trend that's going on right now is like the waterproof technique, sweat proof, because it's summer.
Yeah.
So like basically what we're selling is like, hey, you can jump in the pool and like your makeup's going to be like intact, like it's not going to go anywhere. You know, so also we had the privilege, thanks to God, to do our own little workshop. So I did my own workshop where I'm teaching those things as well to women that they can do the same thing, you know, not only just do makeup, but like build an academy, like,
you're teaching other makeup artists to have other clients, or you're teaching them how to do makeup for themselves?
Other clients, how to build a business so they can have more. How to have more clients, how to get better at what they do, how to, you know, just.
And what made you start doing that?
I always wanted to be like, I always wanted to do something like that. I always wanted to inspire to do a business, and it's just things that flowing for me. Like the more I do, if I do something, then I come up with an idea and I want to do something else, and I wanted to keep like just, you know, growing. So I feel like also like a lot of that also when I've been coming to like the Adriana's event too, like that, like just ignited something in me where I was like,
nice,
that's powerful. Like I want to do something like that too, you know?
That's your heart to contribute, and even your fire from your faith with God, like wanting to give back and help other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome. Good job. Now, what are your next steps when it comes to your business?
That's a good question, Richard. I feel right now,
or you have multiple? You have two or different things?
Well, right now, I started to dig in, you know, with the life insurance business, because I feel like that's a good business where you get to give. It's
really good. Yeah, you can give, educate, like make good income too.
And I think it's necessary because, you know, you're learning about finances and learning how, you know, how money works. And a lot of people don't know that. And if you don't know that, you can get taken advantage of.
Yeah.
So that's something that we're putting wetting our feet into, my daughter and myself. When it comes to the makeup business, we're trying to become international. Right now, we're talking to somebody to Gabriela Hispanic's public relations dude. Okay. I don't know how to say that.
Dude?
Her public relations, I guess, assistant? Is that how you...
PR? Yeah. PR. Yeah. Dude. PR dude.
PR dude.
I got it. We get it.
So, that's, you know, I've talked to her and she was delighted, and she said she's excited to work with me. So we're going to, you know, explore what are the possibilities of how we can both contribute and do something awesome with that. And then we're going to fly to Dallas pretty soon to do another workshop with another makeup artist.
Nice.
So we're trying to keep moving, you know.
And what is your products or services that you're selling?
Like actual makeup products, I don't sell, but that's...
You sell the technique that you educate to show them how to do different looks?
Yes.
Or do you sell like you doing it for them, like for events or for photo shoots or...
Both.
Okay.
So it's both. And then I do want to implement like my own brand. So I'm working on that right now, where I am, you know, my own makeup line.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's also in the works. So yeah, we want to just keep it growing and keep it moving.
Sure.
And yeah.
And so I know from, you coming to the events and things like this, I've heard stuff with like your husband on how he was doing something else. And then now you both have, spoken and you're both in agreement, and he like quit his job at some point. And so, what happened with that?
Yeah. So my husband's pretty awesome. Like I really don't know my husband's the best. Like I wasn't used to none of that. So he's like, hey, you're going to not work. You're going to focus on what you love. And then I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to like support you and like what you need. Now he's not employed. He does work. He's self-employed, right? But he, right now he's doing DoorDash, yeah. And to help me do what I want to do.
Wow.
So, and it's not what I want to do. It's like us together.
It's for
us
everyone.
Together. And it's, people are like, wow, DoorDash. But it's actually, I feel like that's something that it's temporary where it's gonna.
And there's flexibility. And it's what you need exactly right now.
I have to keep it real, like I'm not going to say, oh, my husband's an executive. And he's like, no, like I have to keep it real. Like this is our situation.
I think it's amazing, because he was willing to quit his job to come like, okay, I'm going to go do this. So that way you can focus on you building that out, and him having that mindset of support and, cause like even the way you're like, it's not a big thing, as him is like, he has a bigger purpose. It's not like the title or what he's doing. No, we need this. I need to support you so you can build this out. So this helps us to do that. So I'm going to do it. Yeah. That's a good man.
Yeah. He's an amazing man. And like what he does for me is like, let's say like, cause I'm more like, I just, I'm working, but he's like, okay, you need lights. You need this camera. You need, he's behind everything. And he's like, he also manages like my videos that I post. Really? Yeah. So he's like, nope, this is trending. This is what you need. So he's really good at what he does. So yeah, it's.
So you want to take it international.
Yeah.
You want to get your makeup line. What else? You're doing the life insurance. What else are you getting into?
Commercials, marketing. Yeah. Yeah.
Good job.
Acting. Yeah.
What is your goal for the next, let's say, 3 years? Like, what do you want to accomplish?
Wow. I definitely want to be already making money doing commercials. That's for sure. Uh-huh. I want to open up an academy. That's something that I do want to do. Like, I want to open up like an academy where I'm able to have like other artists. I want to give like opportunities to other artists so that they can do the same. That's something I do.
You're going to build your competitors.
Yeah. So yeah, I want to definitely for that right now. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And your husband's all in on that. Your kids are in on that as well.
Yeah. My second, the oldest, she's like, hey mom, listen, like if I'm down to do hair, nails, like, so we can keep growing, we can offer more services. Yeah. And then my husband's like, don't worry, I got the recording, I got everything.
So it's a family business.
It's a family business. Yeah.
That's awesome. And then
Cassie's also like flourishing right now with modeling. So, she's my partner. She does makeup with me, but she's also a model. So she does modeling. Wow. It's pretty cool. So everything's falling into place thanks to God.
Praise God.
Yeah.
Now, to bring all this together, how is God in your life and helping you to do all these things? Like, what's your relationship like?
He's priority. So like for us, like we have to bring him into like every decision that we make, we do pray about it. Like we do pray about things before like making decisions. We give it thought. We also have a family study. We do read the Bible together. At times we try our best to implement that. Oh, for like my daughter Genevieve, there's this activity book. There's like little petals, right? And in those little petals, you get to pick the type of prayer that you want to do. You could either give thanks, do a request. What else was there? Forgiveness. So I'm like, what would you like to pray about? What would you like to put in this petal? She's like, I want to give thanks. I was like, okay. So she wrote in the plan is to collect these little petals, and we're doing one every day to make them into like a flower.
Wow.
And in that petal, she put like, thank you, Jehovah, for everything.
Aww.
So we're collecting. We just started this activity, so that's what we're trying to keep it a balance, but keep God as daily. Not forget that everything we do receive is from our Creator.
Yeah.
And it's important to give Him that glorification and the thanks.
Good job. Good job.
So.
I love it. And this is a big reason why I wanted to bring you on the show, because everything that you shared, you've gone through struggle, you've gone through ups and downs. You had a child young, got married young, right? You learned a lot of things through good experiences, through falling down, through failing, you having to constantly get up and fight for yourself to make that shift, getting assertive on your goals, right? Getting even aggressive to like, man, what am I doing? I got to make this change. And, I can't just accept this. I can't just tolerate. I got to make the change, to where you learn how, to pour and invest in yourself, to develop yourself, to have clear, core values and beliefs, and not to settle for that. Just trying to get acceptance from other people. And then you find, or God brings, right? Not just you find, but God connects you to this person who believes the same.
Yeah.
And where it's just so easy, and you guys start to come together and build something. And now you're, building your businesses, and your kids are in it, your family's in it, and you're going for this balance even of what people are looking for, this family work-life balance.
Yeah.
Because you're bringing everyone together. And they want to. It's not like they feel like they have to go, fine, I'm going to do this. They want to. They're coming up with ideas. They're like wanting to bring different value to it. So it shows like they're actually committed to it.
Yeah.
Like, because they feel like they're actually able to create. They're important for it. That's awesome. As a mother, as a woman, I'm sure that feels great to have your family like that, and to be, doing what you're passionate about, and be building business off of it. Helping other people feel good, and helping them build businesses to do the same.
Oh,
good job. And this is exactly why kind of people I want to bring on the show, is to highlight that, exactly that.
Oh,
so
bless you.
Bless you, your family. Thank you for being on here. I appreciate your time and being vulnerable and sharing your life.
It's an honor. It's a privilege. Thank you for having me, and God bless you and your family too. And I'm really grateful for everything that, you also and Adriana share with us, because we also learn a lot from you guys. So that's very, very powerful and helpful to us.
Thank you.
So thank you guys for that too.
What would you say the biggest things that you've gained from any of my teachings and trainings?
I feel that when you teach about relationships, that's really, really important. I feel like that has helped me a lot. When I learned the different personalities, different animal types, things like that, because it is important. It is. You deal with people every day, and you never want to take it on a personal level. You want to keep yourself having these healthy relationships, and I feel like that helped me a lot, because there are times where you don't feel like always being positive, people get on your nerves sometimes, you know, and you have to
oh yeah,
he's there right now.
He's a lovebird. He's a sheep. Okay, he's an owl.
It's a bird. He's an owl. So you have to apply that, and
then, so you guys know this is off of a teaching of personalities, because people hear an animal, what do you mean he's a rhino? And I teach personalities off of animals. That's why.
Yeah, and I feel that's awesome, because I'm a creative creature, and I feel like when you bring those out, it's the beauty of humans and how we all are different, and how we can still accept each other and love each other with those differences, even though it's not easy. But that's not the point. The point is we still have to accept each other and love each other with those differences, and I feel that helped me a lot.
It's amazing.
So, thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you.